This next gentleman is a friend, relatively new to us, but not so new. He has a book coming out soon, which is a great read. And what I like about Peter Ullian, I said this the other time, not to embarrass him, but when I finally pass, I want to find the dust where he is, because it's angelic and it's full of ebullience and light and great charm, intelligence, and humor. And God, do we need that. Sir, would you grace us? Peter Ullian.
Since Passover is coming up, I'm going to read you a Jewish-themed poem. I'll give you just a little thumbnail sketch of the background to this. About 1 million years ago, someone gave me a CD entitled "The Lost Jewish Music of Transylvania." And of course, as you know, even though only the Dracula story actually takes place in Transylvania, in the popular mind, all of the monsters, Frankenstein, werewolf, everybody, all that takes place in Transylvania. And that gave me this idea for this mashup called Frankenstein's Goal, which I have been working on for 30 years and still it hasn't really caught fire yet. But the idea of the golem has continued to haunt me, and this poem is about the not Frankenstein's golem, but the actual story from the Jewish mystical tradition. If you're not familiar with it, the golem is a man made out of clay. Rabbi Judah Low casts a spell, and they write the word emet in Hebrew on his forehead, which means truth. He defends the Jews of the Prague ghetto from evildoers, and once the danger is past, they get rid of they take away the aleph, the Hebrew letter aleph, which turns emet, truth, into met, death. And he is no more, and they put him away in the attic of the old new synagogue. So I always thought this story seemed terribly unfair to the golem. So I wrote this poem from the point of view of the golem. It's called The Golem. They say you made me from clay. Who am I to say? They say you made me to defend the ghetto from blood libels and Prussian soldiers. And I guess you'd have to say I did a pretty good job. They say my job is done, and now is the time to transform truth to death by removing the aleph from the words in Hebrew letters you have marked upon my forehead. It is time to let me rest in a box in the attic of the shul, they say. But I am not at all tired, I say. They say I cannot die because I have never truly lived, being made by man and not by God. I lack the holy spark that makes a soul, and so I am an abomination in the eyes of the divine. A necessary abomination, but an abomination whose need has passed. I look down at my body, the color not of flesh, but of clay, and I must say, perhaps inside my chest there lacks a beating heart and surging blood, not the necessary stuff for a mystical creature, a golem such as me, but even so, my heart cries, my loins ache, my mind whirls. There is love in my chest and desire in my fingertips. And I cannot comprehend why the things that are the right of every child of God should be to me denied because I am a child of man. You made me in your image, as God made Adam in his, but truth be told, you should be so lucky to have abs like mine. Your image improved considerably when you made me in it. Do you have no love for your child of clay? Is this my reward for my service, to be tossed aside once the danger has passed? Do you really imagine the Jews will never again require a golem like me? Thank you. So this is similar in the sense that the title of this, The Last Electric House, is the title of a novella that I have been working on, which is about the end of the world as we know it. And one house in this valley, which may be the last place that people in the world have survived, is the only house that's electrified. The poem is not the same story as the novella, but it's the same idea. One house that still has electricity. The last electric house. When the end of the world as we know it finally arrives, you can come to my house, the last electric house, and listen to REM sing It's the End of the World as We Know It on my stereo. When the end of the world as we know it finally arrives, I will keep you warm when it gets cold, and I will keep you cool when it gets hot in my house, the last electric house. When the end of the world finally arrives, I will draw you a bath, and you will soak in hot soapy water surrounded by the scented candles I will have lit for you because we wanted to, not because we had to. The candles will smell of all the things we will have lost because of the end of the world as we know it. They will smell of clover, even though the clover outside will be brown and burned by the relentless sun. They will smell of spring, even though there will be no more seasons. They will smell of pumpkin spice, even though all the pumpkins will have died and there will be no more spice, nor Starbucks, nor Dunkin' Donuts. They will smell of new car, even though there will be no more new cars. They will smell of Facebook, even though there will be no Facebook. But after your bath, when I have towel dried you with fresh towels, made warm and fluffy by my electric dryer, our flesh can be the walls, and we can post messages to each other with Sharpies, our love letters inked upon our own skin. I will hold you tight at night beneath our warm electric blanket in my house, the last electric house. And we will listen to the howling wind that carries with it the moaning despair of a million desperate souls with no electric houses, or electric blankets, or electric dryers, or scented candles to return to. And I will read the messages we have inked upon our flesh in the dim glow of the nightlight plugged into the socket in the corner of the room in our house, the last electric house. I cannot protect you from fallout. I cannot protect you from marauders. I cannot protect you from disease. I cannot protect you from starvation. But I can protect you from the heat. I can protect you from the cold. I can protect you from the loneliness. And I can protect you from boredom if you like music and old movies. We can listen to music and watch my movies. If we watch one a day, we will not run out for 100 years. I have millions of classic movies on DVD. I'm sorry, I did not think to upgrade to Blu-ray before the end. And finally, this poem is the title poem for the collection, which is forthcoming from Lion Autumn Music Publishing Editor-in-Chief, Hayden Wayne. This is called the Fevered Dreams of Pulp Fiction Poets, a manifesto. Pulp fiction poets dream fevered dream crimes against the state, against good taste, against prelates, while lying prostrate, embracing apostates, going on blind dates, being cheapskates with our exchange rates, gaining weight with our soulmates. Our loins gyrate, our flesh awaits, we storm the gates. Our minds mutate, there's no debate. With blades serrate and libidos great, we wanna be sedate while fighting hate and arriving late. Making our escape, we must narrate what we create. Pulp fiction poets dream fevered dream crimes of unleashed ids and sentient squids, of resistance, persistence, subsistence as we outdistance Pulp fiction poets dream fever dream crimes of lighting fires for funeral pyres, for medieval squires. Our bodice ripped, our discs have slipped, we make our quips through tongues that trip along the curve of your skin in the squalid din as we guzzle gin, bodies locked in sin. Oh, such sweet, sweet sin. It's a mortal sin, a carnal sin, such a little sin as you take me in, locked into your thighs as our heartbeats cry. I hear your sighs. Pulp fiction poets dream fever dream crimes of Charlie Chaplin's modern times, of the clarion call of freedom's chimes, of streets of gold and streets of grime, of Ghostbusters and ectoplasmic slime, of 2-day shipping from Amazon Prime, of half rhymes and almost rhymes, of scaling mountains too high to climb, of turning on a Roosevelt dime, of eyes that blink and eyes that shine, of whiskey, ice, and a twist of lime, of parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme, of waiting for some kind of sign. Pulp fiction poets dream fevered dream crimes of taking a stand against master plans with poetry slams, giving a good goddamn, kicking out the jams, serving up green eggs and ham to every guy named Sam I Am, singing Python songs of spam, ruled by overactive glands, pissing on the critics' pans. We are polyamorous, polyphonous, rainbowed, and aggressively transed. We hold the future in our hands. Thank you.
Oh my. Oh, that's Poet Laureate of Beacon, Peter Ullian. And it reads on the paper. It's such a joy. It's such a joy. It's a lot of fun. Thank you.